Tyche and Fortuna, the goddesses of fortune. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Gods of Money series. If Plutus embodied wealth as fragile and blind, then Tyche and Fortuna personified the wider currents of chance and fate that surround money. They were the goddesses of fortune, not only of prosperity, but of unpredictability itself. Tyche in the Greek world, and Fortuna in the Roman, ruled the strange mixture of abundance, luck, and hazard that governs human life. They held cornucopias spilling with plenty, rudders steering destiny, and sometimes the famous wheel, forever turning. To study them is to enter the heart of how ancient people saw wealth, not as purely earned, not as purely deserved, but as the gift, or the trick, of fortune. In Greece, Tyche emerged as a personification of fortune in the classical period, around the 5th and 4th centuries BCE. She was not part of the oldest Olympian pantheon. Rather, she developed as cities grew larger, economies expanded, and the randomness of success or failure became harder to explain through traditional gods alone. Tyche's very name means chance, or luck. She was not bound to justice or morality. She was fortune itself, good or bad, abundant or ruinous. In Athens, she was sometimes depicted as a young woman with a mural crown on her head, symbolizing the city walls she protected or abandoned at whim. In her hands, she often carried a rudder, steering the course of destiny, or a cornucopia, symbol of overflowing prosperity. The image of the cornucopia, or horn of plenty, became central. The cornucopia itself was rooted in Greek myth, a horn from the goat Amalthea, who nursed Zeus as an infant. It was said that the horn would provide unending nourishment. In Tyche's grasp, it represented her ability to pour forth abundance without limit. But there was always an edge of uncertainty. The same Tyche who pours plenty can also withdraw it. She was both the giver and the taker. Greek cities began to adopt Tyche as a kind of civic patron. Each polis imagined that its fortunes rose or fell by her favor. The historian Polybius, writing in the 2nd century BCE, remarked that many Greeks attributed great historical shifts, not to strategy or planning, but to Tyche. When one city suddenly fell, or another unexpectedly prospered, people said it was Tyche's doing. She became the explanation for events too large to grasp: war, plague, famine, or sudden prosperity. To call it Tyche was to admit that human control was limited. Fortune moves as she pleases. Tyche's power was also linked to unpredictability in personal life. Ancient inscriptions invoke her for luck in travel, trade, or childbirth. Merchants prayed to her before voyages, gamblers whispered her name before casting dice, and families honored her in household shrines. In this way, Tyche was woven into both public and private life. She represented the uncontrollable element of prosperity, the reminder that success requires not only effort, but also luck. Her imagery expanded over time. By the Hellenistic period, after Alexander the Great, Tyche was often depicted holding a rudder in one hand and a cornucopia in the other. The rudder emphasized her control over the course of events. She could steer destiny like a ship. The cornucopia showed her as the dispenser of prosperity. Some statues added a wheel beneath her feet, the forerunner of Fortuna's famous Wheel of Fortune. Together, these symbols declared that wealth, power, and safety were always at the mercy of chance. When Greek culture spread into Rome, Tyche merged seamlessly into Fortuna. Fortuna became one of the most important Roman deities, worshipped by individuals, households, soldiers, and emperors alike. Her cult was immense. The Romans built temples to Fortuna in Rome itself, in Praeneste, modern Palestrina, and in countless other cities. Fortuna was not a distant abstraction. She was a goddess whose favor was courted in daily life. Romans prayed to her before battles, offered her gifts in household shrines, and honored her in festivals. Fortuna was imagined in many aspects. There was Fortuna Primigenia, the firstborn, whose oracle at Praeneste was among the most famous in Italy. There was Fortuna Redux, who ensured safe return from journeys. Fortuna Mulibris, honored by women, guarded marriage and childbirth. Fortuna Virilis, invoked by men, influenced romance and desire. Fortuna Publica protected the prosperity of the state, while Fortuna Privata concerned the individual. The sheer variety shows how deeply Romans saw fortune as woven into every aspect of life, public and private, male and female, war and peace. One of Fortuna's most enduring symbols was the wheel. The Wheel of Fortune became a metaphor for the rise and fall of individuals and empires. It turns endlessly. Kings fall, beggars rise, prosperity comes and goes. No position is secure because Fortuna's wheel never stops. This image was so powerful it survived into the Middle Ages, appearing in medieval manuscripts and sermons as a reminder of the fragility of human success. Today, the very phrase Wheel of Fortune echoes that ancient symbol, a reminder that chance governs more than we admit. The Romans saw Fortuna as both generous and dangerous. She was Fortuna Bona, the bringer of good fortune, and Fortuna Mala, the bringer of misfortune. One inscription even called her Fortuna Dubia, doubtful fortune. In other words, her gifts could not be trusted. She might bless you today and abandon you tomorrow. This duality was not contradiction. It was her essence. She represented fortune in all its forms, not only the pleasant ones. The cornucopia could overflow, or it could run dry. The wheel could lift you, or it could crush you. To worship Fortuna was to acknowledge that prosperity is never fully secure. Writers of the Roman world frequently invoked her. The poet Ovid described her as capricious, standing on a rolling ball, impossible to grasp. Cicero, the philosopher and statesman, admitted that fortune plays a role in human affairs beyond reason. Even emperors bowed to her. Augustus, Rome's first emperor, built a shrine to Fortuna Redux after returning safely from campaigns, thanking her for his survival and power. Fortuna's cult was not fringe. It was central to Roman life, cutting across class and status. The symbolism of Fortuna's cornucopia deserves special attention. In her statues and coins, she often holds it close, spilling grain, fruit, or coins. This imagery reinforced the idea that fortune dispenses material wealth. But the cornucopia was not hers alone. It appeared with many deities of abundance, from Greek Demeter to Roman Ops. What made Fortuna's cornucopia distinctive was its instability. Unlike Ops, who represented steady agricultural fertility, Fortuna's gifts were uncertain. The horn of plenty in her hands might pour out endlessly, or she might withhold it. That tension was the essence of fortune, abundance without guarantee. Over time, Fortuna came to embody not just luck, but fate itself. In late antiquity, as Roman religion blended with philosophy, Fortuna was sometimes equated with fate, the inescapable order of the cosmos. Others resisted this, insisting that Fortuna was random, not lawful. The debate mirrored ongoing human attempts to understand prosperity. Is it predetermined or accidental? Is wealth fated or is it luck? Fortuna sat at the heart of these questions, her wheel spinning endlessly while philosophers argued. The legacy of Tyche and Fortuna is immense. The Wheel of Fortune survived into medieval and Renaissance thought, a staple of literature and art. Writers from Boethius in The Consolation of Philosophy to Chaucer and Shakespeare invoked Fortuna's wheel as a warning of life's instability. Fortune was no longer worshipped as a goddess, but she remained a powerful metaphor. Even Machiavelli, writing in the 16th century, described Fortuna as a woman who must be courted and sometimes mastered, blending old myth with Renaissance politics. In modern language, we still speak of fortune as if it were a living force. We talk about fortunate people, misfortune, and fortune smiling. We call millionaires fortunate, and we describe life-changing events as good fortune or bad fortune. Even casinos invoke her. Games of chance are temples of Fortuna, where people hope her wheel turns in their favor. Though we may no longer build temples to her, we continue to live in her shadow. What makes Tyche and Fortuna fascinating is not just their imagery, the cornucopia, the wheel, the rudder, but their psychological truth. They personified the element of unpredictability in wealth. No matter how hard one works, no matter how carefully one plans, fortune always plays a role. By naming that role, by giving it a goddess's face, the ancients admitted something we still resist, that success and prosperity are never fully in human hands. To know Tyche and Fortuna is to know how the Greeks and Romans made peace with uncertainty. They did not imagine wealth as entirely earned or deserved. They imagined it as the gift of fortune, sometimes generous, sometimes cruel, always beyond control. By worshipping these goddesses, they both honored and feared the mystery of chance. And in doing so, they left us enduring symbols, the cornucopia overflowing, the rudder steering fate, the wheel turning without pause, that still capture how we experience wealth today. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Manifestation series, where we don't just talk about manifesting, we master it. Because let's be honest, manifestation has been watered down, reduced to vague quotes, mood boards, and empty promises. But you didn't come here to wish. You came here to build a reality that hits different. A reality that responds to your frequency, your language, your alignment, and your decision to stop playing small. This series is not fluff. It's physics, frequency, and fierce creative power. Inside the Manifestation series, you're going to learn how to collapse timelines, shift identities, and speak worlds into existence, just like the greatest minds in history. This isn't just about being positive. This is about being powerful. Here's what you unlock inside. Vision to Reality, the Vision Board course. You've heard about vision boards, but you've never done them like this. This is a full energetic ritual, a precision-coded map for your subconscious, designed to bridge image, frequency, and strategy. It's not arts and crafts. It's blueprinting your future in visual form and turning it into matter. Time, quantum timelines, and why time isn't real. Manifestation doesn't take time. It takes alignment. In this module, I'll show you how time is just a mirror of energy and how to collapse timelines using choice, clarity, and vibration. Past, present, future, they're happening now. And when you know how to navigate time quantum style, you stop waiting and start receiving. Quantum jumping, instantly up level. Your next level life isn't years away. It's one decision away. In this training, you'll learn how to quantum jump, how to shift into a version of you that already has what you desire. This isn't fantasy. It's how high-performance creators, athletes, and spiritual masters leap beyond limits. Jump now. Land in power. Every word. The power of affirmations and spoken language. Words build worlds. In this course, I show you how to use affirmations like spell work, not just repeating empty mantras, but speaking with vibration, intention, and spiritual force. If you've ever felt like affirmations don't work, this will change everything. You'll learn to command your field, not just request from it. The greats, learning from the most exceptional minds in history. We're not the first to master this. In this legendary module, we decode the techniques, habits, and quantum genius of the world's most powerful manifestors, from ancient sages to modern icons. You'll learn how to think like the greats, move like the greats, and manifest like the greats. This isn't another feel-good series. This is a spiritual weapon, disguised as a manifestation course. It's made for leaders, cycle breakers, visionaries, and soul builders. You don't need another wish list. You need a system that teaches you how to bend reality. This is that system. So if you're ready to stop playing with potential and start creating results, welcome to your next level. The manifestation series is open now. You know what to do. Let's build what they said was impossible and make it inevitable.